I am from Cincinnati. I was born and mostly raised here.
Well, I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the General Hospital. And I lived here until 1972.
I would say that there was a mixture of black and white back and then. They were not called black, they were Negro, they were Afro-American. Yes, it was segregated. And it was in the early 60s. We were to come to Hughes High School to integrate. And at that time, Hughes High School was probably 80%, 85% white. And it was quite a transition. Now I have to say that just because it was not that many minorities in the beginning did not mean we didn't get along together. I mean, I thought it was normal, I still do.
And all my classmates, regardless of what their ethnicity were, those were my cousins, and they still call me cuz, okay? Because we were a family. That particular group of 34 people.
We taught each other a whole lot of things, and it was educational.
In reality, I had enough credits at the end of my junior year to leave, but I wanted to stay and be a senior. So that made it particularly devastating not to have a commencement exercise.
Around the country, there was a lot of riots going on. It was burning parts of Detroit, Michigan down, and we were in tune with all that, but we wasn't necessarily a participant. We just knew it was going on, but we was not long down the road before it came into our door.
We go downtown to Music Hall for a rehearsal. I leave the rehearsal, go downtown to buy a dress to wear under my gown. My dad has driven up here from Marietta, Georgia, and when I get home on the 6 o'clock news, I find out I am not having a graduation. I was devastated. There was nothing they could do to make it okay with me.
I can't even give you the feeling that it was just the bottom fell out. It wasn't just the blacks that was upset, it was whites too. Everybody was upset because it was our time and our life to do this one thing that we always wanted to do, and it didn't happen.
But at the time of the riot, I lived on Hickory, which was right off of Burnett Avenue, which they burned down. That was my neighborhood. I was right around the corner. So after the riots, there were literally troops with machine guns walking up and down Burnett Avenue, which was not as far from my house as the length of this hallway. So I was seeing the results of it up close and personal. And where people think that it was all about blacks not liking whites and vice versa, it was really about the economy. It was a scream against the economic inequities.
All the students of Hughes High School at that point in that time, we moved on as much as we possibly could. Most of the men were being drafted into the military. Vietnam was really heavily going on at that period in that time.
I became a teacher and then an administrator at universities. I ran upward bound programs, and I was always delighted to stand before the students and tell them I had a master's degree before I had a high school diploma. I didn't get it until 1987.
I believe that the Lord just put it in my heart that I wanted to see everybody move forward with a graduation. So that's exactly what we did. 20 years later, we got together and tried to do our best to give a graduation to all the students that would have graduated in June of 1967. And we did everything in that graduation ceremony that would have occurred back in '67. We had cap and gowns. We received a certificate of diplomacy. We got to do all the little party and all the other stuff that you would probably do when you graduate. And everybody had just a great time, but it still did not do what the real graduation would have done.
So walking back in here as though, you know, even though I love this place, it still brings tears to my eyes because of the good times and then the bad things that happened that distracted our energy from the good times.